Please, Your Lordship, I continue appearing on behalf of the applicant.
The court pleases my Lord, I appear for the respondent.
Thank you. Good morning to all. Mr. Kanyangela, good morning.
Good morning, my lord.
Mr. Samherji.
Well, please, Mr. Kanyangela, as we start the cross-examination, I'll just urge you, I'll ask direct questions, and I'll just require you to give me an answer to my questions. It is not obligatory for you to answer me. You can say you don't want to answer, and then we move on. Is that fine, Mr. Kanyangela?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Now, getting the ball rolling, from your testimony yesterday when you indicated that applicant and his co-accused were allegedly involved in corrupt schemes and money that was received, particularly that of the applicant, was from bribes. You seem to have relied heavily on Johannes Stephenson. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So in other words, you are basing what you said on the affidavit of Johannes Stephenson, which is contained in the Namgoma bundle. Is that correct?
Yes, that is what came from the statement of Johannes Stephenson.
Okay. We'll get back to that. Now, I'll move from general to particular. So I'm going to address first general statements, then I'm going to be very specific. Mr. Kanyangela, would you agree with me that a person who is a thief cannot be considered to be a model citizen or a good person in society? Generally speaking.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Would you further agree with me that a person who commits corruption and they admit that, yes, I committed corruption in ABCD ways, any person, that person can also not be considered to be a good person in society generally and a model citizen?
That's correct.
Okay. Would you further agree with me that a person who mismanages funds of their employer and commits acts which go contrary to their employment, in other words, they go against the reason why they were employed, generally speaking, that person is also equally not a good person and not a model citizen?
That's correct.
Would you further also agree with me that a drug addict and a substance abuser is generally also not a good person?
That's the same is correct, yeah.
Okay. Now, let's move now to specifics. Now, since you indicated that you are relying solely on Johannes Stephenson, the affidavit. Yes, solely or mostly on Johannes Stephenson's affidavit.
So it can be cleared if it's not clear whether he relies solely or heavily. It can be cleared with him.
May it please the court. Mr. Kanyangela, have you met Johannes Stephenson?
I never met him.
Thank you. So what you are relying on solely by saying that Johannes Stephenson says ABCD is from his affidavit, isn't it?
I rely on his affidavits, and from his affidavit, we also get documentations on which I have relied on.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but your documentation attached to his affidavit, isn't it?
Others were also not attached to his affidavit.
Yes. So you are relying. So everything that you are saying, you have had, so since you've already admitted that you've never met this gentleman, Johannes Stephenson, you are not in a position to tell the court that I actually sat with him. I questioned him on certain things that he said or asked for clarity and so on. And this is what he told me. That is absent because you've never met the gentleman, or you rely on is what he says in his affidavit, isn't it?
Yes, I never met him.
Okay. Now, Mr. Kanyangela, correct me if I'm wrong. Before you joined the Anti-Corruption Commission, you were a police officer, isn't it?
That's correct.
Okay. Were you a detective?
Yes.
Okay. How many years were you in the police force?
I started 1997 until 2009.
Okay. So that was like 12 years.
Yes, we can make the calculations.
Okay. According to my calculation, about 12 years. So I'm sure you agree with me that as a former detective, a witness can give a statement. It's not always the case that when they finally come to testify in court, they'll say everything in the statement. Sometimes they'll add more things, or sometimes they'll completely distance themselves from what is in the statement. You agree with me?
Yes, I agree with you.
Yes. So in this case, all that we have at this juncture is a statement of Johannes Stephenson, whom you've never met. We do not even know whether he will actually come, and if he actually does come, whether he will repeat exactly what is in his statement. We do not know, isn't it?
Yes, we do not know, but we are having other people who also give statements. We are having other evidence that we have gathered.
I'm talking about Stephenson now. We'll deal with the other alleged evidence that you're talking about. I'm talking about Stephenson now. We do not know.
Yes.
Yes. He might, as you've said, as a former detective of about 12 years, you've admitted to instances where witnesses generally, they can turn against what is in the statement, or they can add more. These things do happen, and I'm sure in the 12 years that you were a detective, you have encountered such situations.
Yes, it do happen, yes.
Yes. Okay. So as we stand, there is that possibility, I'm sure you will agree with me, that one, Mr. Stephenson might not even come. Possibility. I'm sure you agree with me that not every witness, a person who gives a statement, especially in this case we're dealing with a foreign witness, we cannot say with certainty that Johannes Stephenson will come. We do not know. You can only hope that he will come, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes.
I hope he's coming.
Yes. And secondly, even if he does come, you cannot say with certainty that the allegations contained in his affidavit will be repeated by him. He might repeat some, he might distance himself from some of them, or he might even distance himself completely from the statement. There is that possibility.
I don't know what he's coming to say.
Exactly. Exactly. Now let's look at his affidavit. I'm sure you have it in your Namgoma bundle. It's on from page 318. To 346.
Yes, I met his affidavit.
You are there? Okay. Let's just go on paragraph 20.
Paragraph?
20.
Just hold on. Paragraph 20.
Okay, I'm in that paragraph.
You are there? Okay. If you can just read that paragraph out, just for the record.
Okay, the paragraph states as follows. Several attempts were made on my life to date, and I am currently recuperating from what I suspect is poisoning. I want investigation into the matter and prosecution.
Just pause there. So, would you agree with me that your reading of that, it says, because several attempts have been made on his life and he suspects that it's poisoning, he wants investigation into the matter and prosecution, as it reads?
Yes, it reads like that.
Okay. So that is the reason why he wants investigation into the matter and prosecution, according to what it reads.
Yeah, but I don't know which matter he's referring to, whether it is now the poisoning or something else that need to be investigated.
But you've read, come on, Mr. Kanyangela. Okay, just continue reading. You know exactly. I mean, it's self-evident if you read. Continue. Okay. I just paused, say that the reasons why he's explaining that he wants investigation into this matter, the allegation that he makes, and prosecution. He says that because several attempts have been made on his life, and he's recuperating from what he suspects to be poisoning. Therefore, he wants investigation and prosecution. But you can continue reading.
I want investigation into the matter and prosecution. I'm willing to testify as a witness in any subsequent criminal trial, provided that I'm protected when traveling to and from Namibia, and during the period that I testify. The reason as to why I decided to blow the whistle is as follows. I had growing concern from 2014 that Samherji was not going to fulfill the long-term agreement signed with Cinco, Epango, and Ukor in 2013 and 2014 for the company Arctic Nam Fishing and the selling of shares in the vessel Heinaste. These concerns grew during the following 2 years, and it became clear to me that Samherji did not intend to make serious investment in Namibia, to create jobs, comply with food security, improve the socio-economic circumstances, or any other investment. It was starting to become clear that all promises made since 2011 were not going to materialize. During 2014, I became convinced that the key people in Samherji attempted to work against the company Arctic Nam Fishing, as if they did not want it to succeed. And I started to suspect Samherji had a hidden agenda to let Arctic Nam Fishing collapse in the end of the period of the agreement, December 2018. I did mention my suspicions to people in Cinco, Epango, and Ukor, and that probably led to the situation that I find myself in today.
You can just pause there. So he's giving background and his suspicions, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So now the issue is, you have had this affidavit that was disposed of in 2019, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yes. Now, did you ever investigate these allegations further that he said? Particularly when he says he made it known to his suspicions to the people in Cinco, Epango, and Ukor. I believe these are the JVs, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yes. Did you investigate this as the investigation officer in this case? Did you investigate this aspect
I
to
did not
find out?
investigate it.
Pardon?
I did not investigate it.
That is shocking, Mr. Kanyangela. If your job is to establish the truth, and you are the investigation officer in this case, this person makes allegations, and he even says further that his suspicions of his company that he was working for, Samherji, that they were not acting in good faith. He even communicated this suspicion of his to the JVs, Cinco, Ukor, and Epango. Now, why wouldn't you investigate this further to say, okay, I'm sure these people of these JVs are Namibians, isn't it? The
Yes, they
people
are
in these
Namibians.
JVs mentioned,
Yes, they are
Siko, Yoko,
Namibians.
and Depango.
Yes, they are Namibians.
So what stopped you from investigating this aspect? To go to these people, I'm sure they are known, and ask them. Johannes Stephenson makes this allegation that he suspected from 2014 that his company, Samherji, were not acting in good faith. They were not going to live up to the promises that they initially made to you people who belong in the JVs. Did he ever communicate such suspicions to you?
He did not communicate it to me.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about you investigating this further, this allegation made by him further. Because he said he communicated to the people in these 3 JVs.
I did not investigate that.
So would you agree with me that
What I have investigated is the quotas that he was allocated. and
We'll
the
get to
payments
that.
that was done.
we'll get to that, Mr.
Yes.
Kanyangela. But I'm saying, because it's a credibility issue here. You've never met this person who's making these allegations in this affidavit. You do not even know whether he will actually come. You do not know whether he will actually say what he has said, maintain what he has said in his affidavit, or distance himself. Fine, that we can accept. You have never met him. But surely, these Namibians that are here in these JVs, they are accessible to you. I'm sure you agree with me that there is nothing that stopped you from just going to these people of these 3 JVs, of which one of them has even given a statement here, Sharon Neumbo. I'm sure you agree with me, isn't it?
Yes, I did not
Yes,
investigate that. with
but you
them.
didn't.
No.
Okay.
The question was, why didn't you investigate these suspicions?
Why I did not investigate it? I have indicated that the investigation that we have conducted it was alleged, it was on the allegation of the bribes that have been paid to the applicant and the accused person. And that is summarily he also requesting to be investigated in his statement. I don't see where he is saying that we must investigate his relationship with the JVs or the issue of his being poisoned. That is not what he requested to be investigated.
So are you saying, Mr. Kanyangela, that simply because he didn't say that, you as the investigation officer wouldn't investigate that?
Yes.
Yeah? Then I put it to you that then it shows that your investigations were not thorough. Because you are talking about a person you've never met. He's making allegations here. The people that he's saying that he actually told, in other words, the root of what made him to be a whistleblower, in his own words, is because of certain events of his employer. And you couldn't. Or you,
No,
in fact, you didn't, I put it to you, you just didn't bother. And the reason is because you chose to believe Johannes Stephenson. Everything he said in this affidavit, you swallowed it hook, line, and sinker.
It's a statement given under oath, and I don't know whether he was saying or what he's saying is the truth. But it's a statement under oath.
Yeah, let's get back to your experience as a police officer, Mr. Kanyangela. You agreed with me that an affidavit is a statement. You agree, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, it's a statement under oath, just like any other statement any witness gives, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yes. And the statement given under oath might not be the truth. It is believed that as it is given, it is the truth. But when I'm saying it might not be the truth is the person, when they finally come to testify, the author of the statement, might actually distance themselves from it. And you've agreed with me that it has happened before. It has happened. Even in your 12-year career as a policeman, it has happened before.
Yes, it happened.
Yes. So my point is, you could have just to show whether this is true, you could have investigated this. It's a simple thing. You know the people of the JVs. One of them is accessible to you, who even gave a statement, Sharon Neumbo. You could have actually just asked this. Johannes Stephenson made these allegations that he saw that Samherji's employer was not acting in good faith. And he said he communicated to you people of the JVs. Did that happen or not? Simple thing.
I have indicated that I did not investigate that part.
Exactly. And that's why I said I put it to you, because it's very clear. Because what Johannes Stephenson said had to be accepted like that.
My Lord, this line of questioning is circling around. That question has been asked and answered several times. That it's an affidavit. It's under oath.
Yes, I expected Mr. Siomunji to move on, and I think he was moving on.
Indeed, so my Lord. I see no need why my learned colleagues rise, but he can re-examine that. Now, moving on. I'm sure you agree with me as that the Anti-Corruption Commission was already in operation by this time, 2014.
That's correct.
Yes. In fact, as per the Act, correct me if I'm wrong, when did the operations of Anti-Corruption Commission start?
2006.
2006. Okay. So, I'm sure you further agree with me that if Johannes Stephenson, who was operating in Namibia from around 2011, if he suspected corruption to have been going on, Anti-Corruption Commission was accessible to him, isn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yes. While he was here, it was accessible to him. He could have come there and reported alleged corrupt schemes by his parent company. He could have done that, isn't it?
Yes, he can.
Yes. But he didn't do it, isn't it? From the time that he's talking about, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, in fact, up to even 2016, when he left employment of Samherji, he did not make any report of alleged corrupt activities in Namibia, isn't it?
Yes, he did not.
Yes. And I just want you to continue on the next page, that is page 23. If you can just start from the fifth line, where, no, in fact, just start from the first line of the second page, page 23 of Stephenson affidavit. That starts with sometime.
Sometime.
The paragraph again?
My Lord, it's the same paragraph, paragraph
Oh,
20,
okay.
but continuing on the next page.
All right.
Sometime after my departure, I started to realize how big the corruption scheme with the key people in Samherji started to become and grown, and how this had been planned well. And that has made me to come forward and blow the whistle, as it has had a negative impact on the people of Namibia and its economy.
Just pause there. I'm sure you agree with me that a person who is honest, a model citizen, an honest person, a person who lives by core good principles, if they see anything negative, they report that, isn't it? Generally.
Yes.
Generally, yes.
Yes.
And Stephenson, although he's claiming here that he started to realize, how big the corruption scheme was. So I'm sure you further agree with me that upon that realization, Anti-Corruption Commission was available. It was accessible to him. And he was here in Namibia. He could have gone there to make this report, isn't it?
That's correct.
But he didn't.
He did not.
You can continue from where you left off.
I started to realize after my departure and be more aware that I was part of a big corruption scheme and financial crimes, which were well organized.
Can hold on. So, in his own affidavit, sure you agree with me, he's admitting that he's a corrupt person. And he was involved in financial crimes, isn't it?
That is what he's saying?
Yes. So by extension, as we started from the beginning, we went from general to particular. This cannot be an honest person. A self-confessed corrupt person, a self-confessed person who was involved in financial crimes, as per his affidavit.
For me, he was honest because he came to report such corruption.
You have never even met him.
Yes, but he came to report.
When did he report it?
When?
Yes, when did he report it?
2019.
What circumstances led to him reporting it?
I don't know why he decided to come and report it.
Exactly my point. You see, Mr. Kanyangela, I'm not being funny, but you can see from this person there, from his own affidavit, if indeed he was an honest person, from 2011, or is it 2013 when he said he started to realize and he himself was involved in corrupt schemes and financial crimes, why did it have to take him up to 2019 when he gave this affidavit to report this matter? Not even in 2016 when he left the employment of Samherji.
I cannot give that reason.
Exactly, because even for you it does not make any sense. That's why you cannot give that reason. Because an honest person would have already reported it. But he left employment in 2016, he went about his life, and then 2019, you do not even know the reason why he reported this. I put it to you that on face value, this is not an honest person. And I'll prove it further. But you decided on your own, because he has given an affidavit, you are going to believe this self-confessed corrupt person, self-confessed person who has been involved in financial crimes.
I have to believe him, because what come out of his statement, did really give evidence that what he was alleging is true.
We'll get to that. You can continue.
The Namibian project was my biggest in my career, and the highest position and responsibilities I have had. But I had never been part of corruption schemes and financial crimes, and got somehow drawn into this and played a role which I did not have in mind. When I started to work in Namibia.
You can pause there. That's what he is saying. Now, I just want to take you to the previous bail application of the applicant. Where, particularly page 78 of the record there.
Which record is it? I don't think I have such a record.
No,
Is it on the
bail application record. The record of previous bail application of the applicant. Page 78.
Which record is it?
The previous one.
I don't have such.
But nevertheless, I'll read it out. I'll just read it out verbatim. What it says.
Okay.
My learned colleague is probably still getting. Because Stephenson is saying here that he has never been involved, has never had any part in corrupt schemes anywhere else. Are you there, Mr. Pinge? Okay. Now, From paragraph 20 is where applicant, when he testified in his evidence in chief, he indicated that he met Mr. Stephenson in 2011 at Hilton and was introduced by a school friend of his called Nobeth Chombonde. And he says, at this meeting, I was introduced as Tamson Hatuikulipi, businessman. At this meeting, Johannes mentioned Samherji Group is with the intention of doing business in Namibia. He also told me that he had messed up the operation of his employer in Morocco, which caused his employer a loss of approximately 2.5 million US dollars, mainly due to his alcohol and substance abuse. That's what was said by the applicant, but I'm still going further. There were two affidavits introduced in that bail application. One of Mr. Juliusson, that's contained on page 204.
If I may object. My Lord, we were invited here by the applicant on the new facts that he has prepared. The exercise undertaken by my learned colleague is to revisit the evidence that was already led, evidence that was already dealt with. The applicant has been cross-examined on that issue in that bail application. That record is there. This application is not for purposes of re-evaluating that record. It is to deal with the new facts and see if they have an impact on the old facts. We are not here to revisit those facts. That exercise is futile and it is of no consequence.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. King.
My Lord, first of all, my learned colleague should learn to relax and see where I'm going.
No, that's not acceptable, Mr.
Your Lordship,
Simon.
I'm not rehashing.
No. Your comment about your colleague is not acceptable.
I withdraw it, my Lord.
Okay.
When I said he should relax, my Lord, I meant he should first see where I'm going. This witness yesterday testified, Your Lordship, that he's relying on the affidavit of Stephenson, and Stephenson said A, B, C, D. And that is what, Your Lordship, that is what I'm cross-examining on, because if he's saying he's relying on what Stephenson is saying in his affidavit, that is what I'm testing, my Lord. I'm not going back to the evidence that was already presented before this court. Yes. So he should just hold on and see where I'm going.
Well, that's fine. To the extent that you indicate the reason why you are cross-examining him on Mr. Stephenson's statement, I will allow you to do that, but do consider indeed that your colleague is raising a genuine objection, to the extent that even the issue of Mr. Stephenson being a drug addict and so on, they were already placed on record. So it's only to the extent that you are saying, he's saying he relies on Mr. Stephenson's affidavit, that for fairness, I should allow you to explore this aspect, but not necessarily to revisit the previous proceedings that were placed before court.
I'm indebted, my Lord. And
okay.
Your Lordship, maybe just to add on that,
yes,
as the court rightly said, the fact that this witness said is relying on that statement. So it's a credibility issue, my Lord. So that's what I'm just I'm not going to rehash everything, my Lord. I'm just touching on certain aspects.
yes.
I'm indebted, Your Lordship. Now, on page 204, This Mr. Juliusson stated that he was the financial manager of Melawo Pelagic, a subsidiary of Samherji, located in Las Palmas. But I just want to jump to exactly what he said.
That is Juliusson.
Juliusson, yes, yes, Your Lordship.
Julius.
Certain things that he said in his affidavit, particularly on page 206, where he was talking about Mr. Stephenson, where he said, I'll just read that. Mr. Stephenson has a history of substance abuse, which eventually contributed to his departure from Samherji organization. I am advised that he should be examined by suitably qualified psychiatrists and be subjected to cross-examination by legal representatives of all parties involved before any reliance should be placed on his evidence and considering the granting of drastic relief applied. And then I'll just jump to page 207, the same affidavit where it says the last sentence says, Mr. Stephenson is a self-admitted criminal who has defrauded and stolen from the foreign defendants. He has inflicted immense damage on foreign defendant, the Samherji group, and so many innocent people, personally and professionally. His obscene lifestyle and conduct in Namibia is well documented, and he'll be prosecuted for that. So, these are the things that were said by Mr. Juliusson, and similar sentiments were also repeated My Lord, I just want to get the name.
Yes, it's fine.
That was the exhibit admitted as exhibit B17, and then there was a B18. I just want to get the name of the other witness. Volmuda Ivoson. That was B18. So the point I'm making is from the record, the people who know Mr. Stephenson also gave affidavits. They are before court. They know him better than you and me because we've never met Mr. Stephenson. Particularly references made to you as the investigation officer. They are talking about this person that you are relying on. He's a criminal. He's a drug addict. He has an obscene lifestyle. He didn't work with his company in good faith, as per the affidavits. I'm sure then, based on what they have said, we have not verified it. These two people have not yet come to testify, just like Mr. Stephenson has not yet come to testify. But on face value, this does not make him a good person according to any kind of standards, according to the allegations that are made against him. Would you agree with me?
I don't agree with you.
On what basis, sir?
Because the same question that you posed to me, it was already posted in the former bail application. And I give my answer to that questions or to what those so-called witnesses are saying.
You can repeat your answer.
And I will still stick to those answers.
What
We
is
can
that
go
answer?
back to the record. I don't
What?
want to
Sir.
give contradictory answers.
Sir, what did you say? It's simple. You can just say, I said
It is
this.
on record.
Okay, so you stick to it just because these people are saying something contrary about Johannes Stephenson. Is that so?
I answered to the same question that was posed to me, just like you're posting it now.
What was your answer? It's simple. Is it that you cannot remember, or if you cannot remember, you can just say you cannot remember.
That's why I say acknowledge that, repeat it. I don't want to contradict myself.
Okay, so for you, you just disagree because they are saying negative things against Stephenson, your model witness. Is that so?
Yes.
So if they had said, let's put it the other way around. If the two of them had said, Johannes Stephenson is a very nice person, very good employee, he worked very hard, he promoted the advancement of Samherji Group in Namibia, then you'd be happy with that, isn't it?
No, that's just speculating. It's taking us nowhere. They have not said that.
Okay. But also, Mr. Siomunji, I don't think you are far apart with the witness on this issue. He do accept that there are individuals who made adverse statements about Mr. Stephenson. I think he did in your earlier questions.
May I please the court? So just a closing point on that. Sure you agree with me that if what is alleged is true, Stephenson being a criminal, a drug addict, a person who embezzled his employer, who didn't work in good faith, that doesn't make him a good person. That's why I said if what is said is true, because he gave an affidavit, they also gave affidavits. They have not testified yet. He also has not testified yet. But on face value of the affidavits.
What I know is that Stephenson had been in Namibia for long. 2011 to 2016 is a long period of time. And the applicant that we are now referring to, that there was such allegation made against Johannes Stephenson, he never proved that there was indeed any criminal case open against Johannes Stephenson in Namibia during that time. When he was drug addicted.
Mr. Kanyangela, you are running from
They could be reported.
Mr. Kanyangela, it's not the applicant. Who made those allegations. That's why I talked about those two people who worked with him, who made those allegations.
You also say he testified about it?
He agreed, yes. He said, in fact, from the record, I don't want to start going back. He said, upon their meeting at Hilton, Stephenson himself told him, which was not refuted, and no contrary evidence was given against it. So that Stephenson himself told him that he messed up in Morocco, he embezzled, he brought a loss to his company about 2.5 million US dollars and so on, and he wanted to redeem himself in the Namibian project. That was never refuted. So apart from what applicant said he was told by Stephenson, those two affidavits of the people he worked with also say the same things.
That is what they have to say to discredit him, because he reported them.
Do you know, since you are saying there's no criminal case, do you know of any criminal case against Samherji in Iceland or somewhere else, since you are saying he reported them? Because Samherji was doing illegal activities.
There's no criminal case reported in Namibia. So I don't know what about Iceland.
According to the allegations of Stephenson, isn't it?
The question is not clear.
I'm saying according to the allegations of Stephenson, that's what you're talking about, that Samherji was reported according to the allegations of Stephenson.
That's correct.
I'll argue.
I'm not sure whether we are on the same page. Partly I understood him to, but you might have, I think, taken note of that. I just want to see which part I'm misunderstanding. Him saying that they are saying everything they are saying to discredit him because he reported them. What are you saying this time around?
Please, the court. Let me just clarify that, Your Lordship.
Yes, yes.
Did he, Stephenson?
Yes, and I also heard him say they did not There is no proof of any case they opened against him for the complaints they are making against him.
May I please,
Yes, you can
clarify
deal
that,
with
Your
it.
Lordship.
Yes.
Did Stephenson make these allegations against Juliusson and Gunnar Argosson in their personal capacity?
Not what I'm aware of.
He made allegations against Samherji, isn't it? Samherji as a company.
Yes, but he mentions some of the managers of Samherji in his statement.
Did he mention Juliusson and Gunnar Argosson personally, that these two people played a key role in these corrupt activities in Namibia as he alleges? Did he do that?
I think he talked about Juliusson,
What did he say about Juliusson?
that he was part of the Samherji managers.
In his affidavit.
Part of the Samherji managers. What did Juliusson do in terms of this alleged corrupt scheme that Stephenson talked about?
Maybe let me check first through his statement.
You can
before I
go
answer
through.
the question.
We can go to paragraph 9
Of Stephenson's.
of Stephenson's statement. It's at page 4 of his statement.
Okay, paragraph 9. He said, from Samherji, the main role players in beneficiaries are Thorsten Malbalvitsson, Chief Executive Officer and one of the main owners of Samherji, Ingvar Juliusson, the Financial Manager of Samherji Group internationally and Chief Accounting Officer. He is a key financial manager for Samherji internationally and works directly under Thorsten Malbalvitsson, and is one of the main persons that planned and worked on any corruption in financial schemes. He is a person who made payment from Asia Seafood in Cyprus to Tundavala Invest Limited in Dubai, and is managing most of the companies in Cyprus, most likely in Mauritius as well as in other countries. That is what he said.
Gunnar Argosson, is he mentioned?
I don't see him.
Exactly. So even if you are to partially accept and say, okay, he makes allegations against Juliusson. Argosson, there's no allegations against him. Gunnar Argosson. We talked about Juliusson. But Argosson's affidavit was handed in the previous bail application, where he also says very negative things about Stephenson. So can that be a coincidence? I'm saying that if Juliusson was mentioned, fine. But what about Argosson? He was never mentioned in Stephenson's affidavit. But he also says negative things about Stephenson. Now, my question to you is that a coincidence?
I don't know in what capacity or in what reason he gave that statement.
I put it to you that you do know, but you are refusing to answer it because it's crystal clear. And the reason is, you yourself can see. You just chose, you took a stance to rely on the affidavit of Stephenson. You took that stance.
Sorry. My Lord, I'm not sure which, because if I remember, that name is not one of the names, Guno. Maybe the applicant can just, because the applicant knows the people better, can just give the correct name to, because Guno, no.
Initially, he sounded like he mentioned the name Normodo Iverson. Now he's saying Gunnar Argosson.
Maybe B19 in the previous. Gunnar Harm. Okay.
Is
That's
it
exactly the
that
one I'm
one?
talking about.
Is
Yes,
it that
my lord.
one?
Yes.
Just try to pronounce it again. I know they are quite difficult.
That's exactly the one I'm talking about, Your Lordship, on page 226
Page
of that
two-
record.
Page 260.
Where it was admitted into, his affidavit was admitted into record.
200.
I believe that was,
The perception that the issue that I'm raising for is one must also look at what was his role, because according to this statement, he was a captain of a supply ship somewhere at sea. He was not one of the managers.
Oh, I cannot do anything about that. I
Yes.
hear you. It's Mr. Siomunji's issue. I mean, he picked this issue. It seems he wants to exploit, so
Okay.
I'm obliged to hear him.
may it please the court, he can re-examine. I'm saying that affidavit is before court.
Okay.
And I'm saying these two people say negative things about Stephenson, including the one that is not mentioned.
Yes, I hear that, Mr. Siomunji.
So I put it to you, Mr. Kanyangela, it's clear. You can see clearly that this person, on face value, should not have been believed, but you just took a stance that you are going to believe everything that Stephenson says. Even if the people that worked with him gave a very bad record of him, even he himself confessed in his affidavit to being a corrupt person and a person who committed financial crimes. Nevertheless, you decided to just gloss over that, to ignore that, and to believe what he said.
I also believe it on the face value.
Okay, if you believe it on the face value, then why don't you believe what Argoson says on face value? Why don't you believe what Voldemar Iverson says on face value?
They never provide those statements to the Anti-Corruption Commission.
But you have seen them. So do they have to have, it's only if the statements, the affidavits came to the Anti-Corruption Commission, that's when you would have believed.
Because I don't know for what purpose they give such statements.
But you've seen them, whether for whatever reasons, they are affidavits. Just like the affidavit that Stephenson gave, isn't it?
It's the same affidavit, similar affidavit that
Yes,
they gave.
yes. But you just
like,
chose.
Like I said, they might give them just to discredit him.
Okay. And in the same vein, would you agree with me that he might also just give them to discredit them because he performed very badly in Samherji? He stole money according to them. He jeopardized their business. He might also give that, particularly that he gave his affidavit only in 2019 to spite them because he left the company.
Not to spite them.
You see?
He did it because he knew that there was corruption going on in Namibia, and he came to report.
The question is, why didn't he, if you can answer it, and I'll move on. Haven't you asked yourself, why didn't he report it while it was going on, while he was in Namibia? Why didn't, if he was a good person, if he was a model citizen, if he was a person who was ethical, why didn't he report it while he was in Namibia?
It's only him who can give such a reason.
Exactly, and I put it to you, you are avoiding it. It's because you yourself have seen that what you are saying does not make any sense.
It makes sense to
But
me.
you have just taken, yes, you've taken the stance that at all costs, whatever happened, irrespective of the evidence, irrespective of the admission of Stephenson himself that he was corrupt, he was involved in financial crimes, irrespective of what his colleagues have said about him, that he was a drug addict and he embezzled funds of the company, you've taken the stance to believe him. And that's why you say you place your reliance mostly on the affidavit of Stephenson. Do you have an answer, Dr. Kanyangela?
Come again?
Do you have an answer? I put something
No, I
to you.
don't have an answer. for
Yes, you will not have an answer. You will not
it. I
have
have
an
already
answer.
answered.
Yes, because you yourself have seen it's crystal clear. It's as clear as daylight, what I put to you.
But I'm not agreeing with it, and I have already answered it.
Court can just bear with me, my lord.
That's fine.
Now, I just want to take you to the bundle. I hope you have the bundle of the applicant.
Yes, I do have.
Okay. Now, when you are testifying over this issue, during evidence in chief, you started off by saying the documents that were presented. When I say the documents, I'm talking about B6, B5 and 6. That's 1 and 2. Hope you are there. The first divider.
Yes, I'm there.
You said there is no evidence that these people who arrangements were made through the late Harold Pupkewitz to meet the then Minister of Fisheries, Mr. Issel, there is no evidence that they actually met.
Yes, that is what I have testified.
Do you have evidence that they did not meet based on the letters? I'm taking it the other way around. You are saying there is no evidence as per B5 and B6 that they actually met as per the proposals and arrangements which were made in these letters. The question is, do you have evidence that they did not meet? In other words, arrangements that were made through the late Mr. Harold Pupkewitz to introduce these Samherji group people to the then Minister of Fisheries. Do you have evidence that they did not meet?
Yeah, the evidence that I'm having is the same evidence on which the applicant is relying, which are emails and with all those emails, or with all the documents that we gathered through this investigation, we never come across any document that says that there was a meeting that Harold Pupkewitz did attend with the minister and with the Samherji.
That you did testify. But that's why I'm saying I'm relying on B5 and B6. That you did say yesterday. My question to you is, do you have evidence, as per these letters or any other evidence, that these proposed meetings did not take place? I'm talking about B5 and B6. These meetings arranged for Samherji group by the late Mr. Harold Pupkewitz. Do you have evidence that they did not take place as per what is proposed?
I don't have that evidence, and I possibly also say that the applicant doesn't also have evidence. Otherwise, he could submit it together with these documents that I just
You see, Mr. Kanyangela, what I'm just bringing forward to the court is that you make sensational statements without any evidence. Yesterday, you were very confident when you said that you just glossed over these documents and you said there is no evidence that these meetings actually took place.
Yes, there is no.
Yes, but equally, you've just conceded now that there is equally no evidence that these meetings did not take place. You have no such evidence unless you can bring it out now.
There's no such evidence.
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
That's why I say it never took place.
But you
Otherwise, there
made
could be evidence.
sweeping, sensational statements yesterday that these meetings were just proposed, but there is no evidence that they took place. But you are shy of saying, I equally have no evidence that these meetings took place. Or rather, that they did not take place. I'm saying they do not show that the meetings took place, but equally, I, as the investigation officer, have no evidence that these meetings did not take place. You didn't say that.
I did not say that.
So, having said that now, would you agree with me that there is that possibility that they did actually take place?
If
Only
you
that you don't have any evidence.
If you can prove that, I can accept it. If you can prove that there was such a meeting.
Sir, I'm not the investigation officer in this case. You are the one who is trying to discredit the applicant. You are saying there is no evidence. Now, the issue is, in your investigations, you said you are aware of this issue of, other role players trying to introduce Samherji Group to the former Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources. You said you are aware of that. So in the same vein that you are aware, I put it to you that if you had investigated, you would have seen that one of the people that was attempting to introduce Samherji Group to the former Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources was Mr. Harold Pupkewitz. And by extension, you would have been able to come up with evidence to tell this court that, look, I followed this up, I investigated. Those meetings actually never took place. And ABCD is the evidence. You do not have that as you stand there. Am I correct?
Yeah, I don't have that.
And?
I want to object to that. It was not the investigating officer that found this evidence. The emails, document 1, document 2, and document 3, all emanates from the disclosure given by the state after investigations by the investigating officer.
Repeat that, Mr. Ipinge.
The documents, B5, B6.
The very emails that...
Yes, he's referring to. They came from the state's disclosure. It's not that they came from the applicant.
Yes. What issue do you have with the question?
The question is that if he had investigated, he would have found out that there was a meeting, or there was
no meeting either way.
Letters from Harold Pupkewitz. And I'm saying the exact documents that he's referring to, they came from the state's investigations.
Yes, how I understand your colleague putting to Mr. Kanyangela is that his evidence was that although there are these documents,
yes,
there is no evidence that meetings actually took place.
Yes.
Those meetings which were arranged by the late.
Yes.
But then he's saying equally there is no proof or evidence that they actually never took place. Yes. And he's saying that as an investigating officer, and you having noted these documents, you would have investigated it. You could come to court and then inform the court that I actually explored this issue. There were no meetings that took place. Yes. But now it's not clear whether meetings took place or they did not take place.
I understood the answer of Mr. Kanyangela to say, if there were those meetings,
yes,
I would have had evidence. The reason that I do not have the evidence is because it never took place.
That's how he's saying it.
Yes.
Your Lordship, I disagree. He didn't say that.
Or you can clarify.
He did not say that. And my
okay,
learned
let
colleague
me allow you to take
will
it.
have his bite at the cherry when he re-examines. He can note that down. Should not speak for the witness.
Yes, certainly he should. He should not.
So, Mr. Kanyangela, you agree with me that you said it was like a neutral situation. You said you have no evidence that the meetings took place and you have no evidence that they did not take place. Isn't it?
Yes, I said that.
Yes.
I did not come across any documentations
Yes.
that indicate that such a meeting was held.
Yes.
Yes.
And more so, especially what has been said by my learned colleague, these documents, these emails particularly, B5 and B6, came from disclosure by you people collectively as the state. So, by extension, if you had wanted to explore this issue further, to confirm that although there were arrangements that for these meetings to take place, there were these arrangements as per the emails which the late Mr. Pupkewitz was making to have Samherji group officials meet with the former Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources. You could have investigated it further. It's your own disclosure to confirm that although there were these proposed meetings, those meetings particularly proposed for I just want to get the date, Your Lordship. 8th November 2011 did actually not take place. You could have done that if you had investigated it further. And then you could have come to this court and say, look, although there were these proposals, those meetings never took place. This is the evidence. But you have no such evidence, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this evidence could be obtained from the late. I don't know as to when Mr. Pupkewitz did pass away. And my investigation on this matter started 2019.
Did you, you see, sir, I'm sure there is an office that is available there. If, you see, now you are speculating. The issue is, you didn't attempt, if you were to inform this court that, look, I pursued this matter, I tried, I went to the office of the late Mr. Pupkewitz to try and find out if they know about this issue, but I was not given any information. That's a different issue. The issue is you never attempted.
Yeah, I never attempted.
Yes. So you are in no position. That's what I'm saying. It's a neutral situation, but the way you paraded this issue yesterday was that you just glossed over it. There is no evidence that these meetings took place.
There's no
Period.
There's no such evidence.
Equally, there is no evidence that these meetings, actually,
Never
you cannot say they never took place.
But you can also not say that it took place because you don't have evidence.
Neutral situation. But you were one-sided.
Yeah, I
You
believe
decided to
there
gloss
was no such a meeting
over this.
because there's no proof.
So there is a possibility. In the same way, there's a possibility that the meetings took place.
The witness is answering, then my learned colleague is talking. I don't know how that record will now reflect.
Okay, now it's fine. Mr. Siomunju, you have managed to place the issue that you wanted to bring across to the court, being that it's a neutral situation. I think from his answers is clear.
And Your Lordship, when I started, responding, the witness had already completed giving his answer. Okay. And I'm not, laboring this point. I'm moving on.
Yes.
So, Mr. Kanyangela, I put it to you that by your stance, you've shown further how one-sided you are, how very biased you are. You say everything negative about the applicant, even when you have no information. You still say one side. There's no information that this meeting took place. That's it.
There's no information.
Equally, there is no information. The conversely, you cannot say you are in a neutral situation.
But I'm not biased, as you are saying.
Now let's get to your bundle, the Namgoma bundle, because yesterday when you were confidently testifying, you even referred to, I think, page 1 and 2 of the Namgoma bundle. And particularly page 2, a letter addressed to the former Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources. I'll allow you to get there.
I'm there.
Yes. Does this document, this letter, does it say anywhere in this letter that this was the first ever meeting of Samherji Group and the former Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources?
Is page 2, you said?
Page 2, yes, Your Lordship.
Okay,
page 2 of the Namgoma bundle.
Thank you.
What is the question again?
Does this letter in any way say that this was the first ever meeting of Samherji Group officials with the former Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources.
It is not saying so.
Exactly. But yesterday, you paraded yourself. You said, as evidence that that meeting of B5 and B6, as proposed by the late Mr. Pupkewitz, never took place. In fact, your evidence is that the first meeting only took place on, as per this letter, 8th December 2011. That's what you said.
Yes, that is what I have said.
But we've just uncovered that this letter does not say this was the first meeting. Isn't it so? Or if it does, can you show this quote anywhere in the contents of this letter where it says, this is the first ever meeting of 8th December 2011 between Samherji officials and the former Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources?
It did not indicate as to what.
Exactly. So your intention yesterday was to mislead this court.
I'm not misleading.
And I'll tell you how you attempted to do so. Because you made reference to B5 and B6. You said there is no evidence that those meetings, as arranged by the late Mr. Harold Pupkewitz, ever took place. Then you came to this bundle of Namgoma. On the second page, you said the meeting with Samherji, the first one, took place on 8th of December 2011. Isn't this what you did?
Yeah, why I'm saying so is because the Samherji, they had approached other several people through whom which they wanted to meet the minister. But they never succeeded to meet with him.
But you have no evidence that Mr. Harold Pupkewitz was one of the people who attempted to arrange a meeting with Samherji and the former Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, and he also failed. You have no such evidence.
Similar, there's no evidence that, yes, indeed, they have had the meeting.
Exactly. But you wanted to mislead this court by presenting this letter to say, the first meeting took place on 8 December 2011. The evidence is this letter.
I'm not misleading the court.
We've just uncovered that, and the reason is you yourself, you've conceded that there is nowhere in this letter of page 2 of the Namgoma bundle which says, this is the first meeting.
That has been asked and answered, madam.
Okay. Thank you.
Your Lordship, I'm stressing a point.
Yes, I take note.
So that's why I put it to you, sir. Your intention was to mislead this court because you are trying by all means to discredit the applicant.
I'm not misleading the court unless you can provide also that there was another meeting that was held before this.
Sir, a person who is not misleading will say, this letter just says this. I cannot confirm whether this was the first meeting or not because the contents of this letter do not say so. I have no such evidence. That is a person who is honest, a person who is ethical, a person who does not intend to mislead any court. And if that is what you said yesterday, I would agree with you that your intentions were not to mislead this court. But in your attempts, by all means to discredit the applicant, you wanted to rubbish emails in B5 and B6 that he presented to say there is no evidence that the meeting took place, and immediately after you referred to this letter. And you specifically said on record, this was the first meeting.
Then show the court that there was another meeting. I said this was the first because it's the one I saw.
Mr. Kanyangela, with respect, you have no evidence that this was the first meeting. All you know is that it's just said there was a meeting on 8th December 2011.
Now also, there's no also other evidence that there was another meeting before that.
I believe I've canvassed that point. Bottom line is you attempted to mislead this court.
That is not what you're saying.
It's fine. Let's move on. If the court can just bear with me, my lord.
Yes.
Now, if we look at the same letter, when I say same letter, the Namgoma bundle, page 2. Does it say anywhere in this letter something to the effect that, dear Honorable Minister, we are happy that the efforts of your son-in-law, Mr. Tamson Hatuikulipi, have borne fruit, and hence we find ourselves here, we have finally met you. Something in those lines. Does it say anything to that effect?
It doesn't say anything, and I did also not testify on it.
No, I'm saying that because you are saying that your allegations all along, what you wanted to parade before this court is that is the applicant who made efforts to introduce Samherji people to the former Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, and because he was closest to the former minister as his son-in-law. That's what you said.
Yes, that is what I have
Yes,
said.
but we've, again, for the second time now, we've uncovered that this letter that you are relying on does not say anything to that effect. Isn't it?
Yes, it doesn't say
Yes. So I put it to you that, again, your attempts to mislead this court have failed because you paraded that evidence as that it's the applicant who was instrumental in introducing Samherji group to the former minister. Because they tried through several people, but all their attempts were futile. It's only through the applicant that they now met the former Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources. That's what you said yesterday.
That is on statements.
Yes.
That after he was introduced to the Samherji,
You see, again,
it is through him that the Samherji indeed came to have access to the minister.
statement of
Although
Johannes
it is not
Stephenson.
saying in the statement,
Are you talking
in
about
this letter.
Are you talking about the statement of Johannes Stephenson?
He also mentioned about it.
No. Yeah. So if you are referring to that, refer to that so that we are clear. Yes, Johannes Stephenson mentioned many things, but I'm talking about this letter because remember, you are the one who made reference to the Namgoma bundle, this letter. You said the first meeting of Samherji group.
Mr. Siomunji, sorry to interrupt you.
Pardon me.
I thought your questions are clear and he's answering them.
Indeed, Your
And
Lordship.
then when he answers them, what remains appears to be for arguments, in my view.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
Unless there's something really you want to. In other words, in respect of that letter, you have already established from him that it does not acknowledge the applicant as the one who arranged the meeting.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
And he confirmed that.
However, what I was just stressing apart from that,
Yes.
Your Lordship, is how he paraded that information yesterday. Because is this witness who introduced this document, and he said the first meeting took place on 8th of December 2011, and it was orchestrated or arranged by the applicant. In other words, the applicant is the one who was instrumental in linking Samherji group with the former Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, because several people tried, without success,
Let
to
me
link the minister.
Let me allow
and
you
the
to round
applicant.
it up. I'll allow you to round it
My
up.
Lord, but that statement is misleading. The witness did not say that. The witness said the first meeting that I came across was after the applicant was introduced. And then my question was, what was he introduced? He was introduced as the son-in-law. And that came from the statement, as the witness just now again repeated. That comes from the statements that he was, and this meeting was after his introduction. That is not disputed. To say he said this meeting was orchestrated, no. That can be perhaps inferred.
Yes, it's not those words which were used.
Your Lordship,
but
the record is clear. This is what this witness said yesterday.
I've allowed you, Mr.
May I
Siomunji,
please
to round up on this issue.
I'm not, yes, Your Lordship, I'm not belaboring the point. I'm done. But I was just, that was the last point to say that, again, it was his attempt to mislead this court.
I'm not misleading you.
Now, you also mentioned yesterday that evidence shows Samherji people were in fact, your words were evidence shows Samherji people were introduced to applicant because he was closest to minister, a son-in-law, to assist Samherji to get access to quotas. And Samherji had access to quotas through JVA right holders, later on with the Angolan quota through Angolan quota, that is Namgoma and Fishco quotas. You recall that's what you said?
Yes, I recall testifying about those quotas.
Okay. And you also mentioned the issue of the MOU that applicant had with Samherji. You recall that?
Yes, I recall.
And according to you, in fact, according to your reliance is again on Johannes Stephenson, that he said these were dummy agreements, means through which to
yes.
pay bribe money.
That is what he said, yes.
Okay. Now, I just want to refer you to the Namgoma bundle. 43. The consultancy agreement. I believe that's the one that you said Johannes Stephenson referred to as one of the dummy agreements, isn't it?
That's correct.
Now, let's look at this consultancy agreement. Is there...
You said what page number is
Page
that?
43, Your Lordship, it's 43...
That's fine.
43 to 49. It's the whole consultancy agreement. You agree with me that in this bundle, the pages that I referred you to, this is the consultancy agreement between applicant and Samherji.
That's correct.
Through his company, JTH Trading.
That's
CC.
correct.
Yes. Now, if you look at this agreement, is there anything in this agreement that shows that it was not properly constituted? I'm talking about the agreement itself. Let's leave aside what Stephenson is saying.
I'm not the expert in compiling agreements.
But you are the investigation officer. You could have gone to seek, an opinion from somewhere, say, to present that the same consultancy agreement for the people who are experts to tell you whether it complies with any normal consultancy agreement.
I did not take that route.
But you agree with me that if you had doubted the consultancy agreement, you could have taken that route to determine whether it's authentic or not.
Yes?
Now, even if you are not an expert, are you able to inform this court in any way if this consultancy agreement was not properly drafted, was not properly signed, and it does not form a binding contract, or did not form a binding contract between Samherji Group and JTH Trading?
There's nothing that I can advise on.
There's nothing you can say. So I put it to you that this is a properly constituted consultancy agreement.
Possible,
Can you
yes?
dispute it?
No, I'm not disputing.
Yes. Now, it flies in the face of what you said. Again, what your, so to speak, star witness, Stephenson, said in his affidavit. He said, these are dummy agreements. So if it's dummy agreements, why would Samherji and JTH go through the trouble of properly drafting a consultancy agreement, properly signing it, so that it can properly form a binding contract between Samherji Group and JTH Trading. Why would they go through that length if the intention was just to have a dummy agreement?
By a dummy agreement, I don't know whether Stephenson said that. He's saying it is dummy because it was not well constructed or well drafted.
Okay. Now, that's
Sorry.
what he is saying.
Or what do you mean?
Okay, that's what he is saying. Now,
I thought you were you
it
done
still-
with your answer?
I was just saying that he did not say it was a dummy agreement because it was not well drafted in his statement.
are you done, sir?
Yes, I'm done.
My apologies if I interrupted you previously.
Okay,
I thought
I'm
you were done.
It's fine.
Now, the question is now to you, because remember, there's things that Stephenson can say in his affidavit, but you are the investigation officer. Did you investigate this further, particularly with Samherji Group? Sure, there are many officials there and so on, to find out, was this agreement properly constituted? And does it have a binding effect on Samherji Group and the applicant? Or it's a dummy agreement, as what is alleged by Johannes Stephenson?
I did not investigate that.
You see, and I put it to you again, the reason is, for you, whatever Johannes Stephenson says is the gospel truth. If something is blue, but Stephenson says it's white, in his affidavit, you say, Stephenson says this is white, and I believe it.
I was not there when these things were happening. So Johannes Stephenson was there. So that's why I believe what he's saying.
So because he was there, you believe what he says.
Yes, he was the one who was involved.
But the issue is, that's what I'm saying, we're dealing with the agreement itself. There's nothing that you can tell this court that there's anything wrong with the way this agreement has been constructed, or the way it has been signed, or that it has a binding effect, or it does not have a binding effect, rather, on the applicant and Samherji Group.
I've already indicated that I cannot advise on the agreement.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, based on the consultancy agreement, leave aside what Stephenson's wild allegations are. You cannot say this is a dummy agreement. Isn't it? Or can you? If you can, please show us how it's a dummy agreement.
I
Or
cannot.
provide the evidence that it's a dummy
I
agreement.
cannot say that.
Exactly. You see, that's exactly my point, Mr. Kanyangela. It's because whatever Johannes Stephenson says, according to you, is the gospel truth. So we've established that by its construction, this is not a dummy agreement, isn't it?
I don't know why you say it's a dummy agreement. That is what I have answered already.
And Mr. Kanyangela, I'm not being funny, but that is your role as an investigation officer. If a person says this is a dummy agreement, it's your responsibility to investigate it and find out, apart from what he is saying. Maybe he's making wild allegations. It's your role to find out whether it is indeed a dummy one or not. And that is within your powers. You can find that out. You could have found that out if that is what you wanted. But you didn't even bother, and I'll tell you why. It's because whatever Johannes Stephenson says is the gospel truth according to you.
Maybe you can just assist to explain to me what the dummy agreement is. As to your own understanding now.
You're asking me a question. You can ask your lawyer. Mr. Ipinge is there.
But I thought you are the one that is supposed to put this issue in context. What you got to understand is the meaning of dummy agreement. And I'm listening here, I'm not hearing you addressing the issue. Because counsel is dealing with this issue from an angle of saying, when you look at this agreement, there's nothing wrong with it. And you are agreeing to that. Now you want to ask him to say, what is your understanding about dummy agreement. I thought you were going to enlighten the court as to why it was said that it's a dummy agreement.
My Lord, I have already indicated that Johannes Stephenson, when he gave a statement, he did not say that this one is a dummy agreement because it was not well crafted or well drafted. He said it was dummy, he referred it as a dummy agreement just to enable these people, the applicant and his co-accused, to be paid bribe through this alleged consultancy agreement.
That is what you are now explaining. But if you
That is what he's saying.
Sir, a few seconds ago, the court asked you, I put it to you that you actually do not understand what you are saying. And I'll put it into context. If you knew what you were saying, Mr. Kanyangela, leave aside what Johannes Stephenson is saying in his affidavit. You would have been able to stand there and say, this is what it means, this is what he's saying. But the court asked you, you asked me a question. What does a dummy agreement mean? So the fact that, Your Lordship, I don't know, my learned colleague is just, he has not even let me finish my question.
The statement that was already given is misleading. Because my learned colleague, when he was asking questions, it was not for the, or based on the purpose of the agreement. No. It was on the construction of the agreement.
No, Mr. Ipinge, as much as I understand what you are saying,
Yes.
the question allowed Mr. Kanyangela to put this agreement in context, or what dummy agreement means in context, because the counsel took it from one angle to say, well, when I look at it, it's not dummy. I mean, does not look, there's anything wrong with it. Yes. And he agrees to that. Then he went on to put questions, say, then why should it be perceived as dummy agreement? He wasn't answering the question. Now he's the one who wanted to answer, to ask the question to Mr. Siomunji. But he had given evidence before court, and the latter part of his answer is what I understood in previous bail proceedings.
Yes,
but
no,
I do
no,
not
no,
understand
why
he was not giving that evidence.
Okay.
Yes, I didn't understand why he was not giving that evidence.
As the court listens.
But the question allowed him to answer this question in a holistic manner as what dummy agreement means. So your colleague is right in his place to ask this question, and I'll allow him to deal with the issue.
As the court
Please, the court, I'm indebted,
Yes.
my lord. So, Mr. Kanyangela, I put it to you that it's clear. You yourself, you are confused on this issue. And the reason of your confusion is, it shows that you don't even understand what Stephenson meant. You didn't investigate it. And that is why you even posed the question to me that, what is a dummy agreement? You do not know. And it's because the reason is, whatever Johannes Stephenson says is the gospel truth. You will never doubt it. You can comment.
I never doubted what he said.
Yes, you've just confirmed you never doubted what he said.
Yes.
So everything that Stephenson said, a man whom you've never even met, whatever he said is the gospel truth, you believe it. Let's move on. Now, moving on, it was further your testimony that, particularly on divider 2 of the applicant's bundle, that through the documents provided, you could not see any evidence of fish sold, but you saw was discussions about fish prices, introduction of Memaria seafood to Rubo Logistics in Zambia, but the bundle does not show that fish was sold to such companies. You recall you said that?
Yes, I recall.
The documents in divider 2, that is B8, B9, B10, B11, up to 13. Did you see these documents before? Or was yesterday the first time that you saw these documents?
You started with which bundle?
The
Or the
applicant's
document-
bundle, your lordship, divider 2,
Divider
from B8 to B13. In fact, the whole divider 2, your lordship, my apologies, I
Okay,
think they
that's
go
fine.
up. The whole divider 2. Now the question is, Mr. Kanyangela, you remember, you testified on these already.
Yes, I
It's
did.
not like you are seeing them for the first, because my learned colleague asked you about the documents collectively. And your response to it was that they do not show that fish was actually, sold. And you particularly singled out Robber Logistics in Zambia, that the bundle doesn't show that fish was sold to such companies. The question that I asked you is, before yesterday, did you see these documents before?
Yes, I have seen those which are with a watermark, confidential information.
Okay, those ones, yes, because they were saying, okay, maybe let me particularize them. The ones with the watermark, of course, came from the additional disclosure.
Yes.
So obviously you would have seen them. But let me particularize them. B8, B9, B10, B11, B12, no, not B12, sorry. B11, then B13, B14, 15, yes, those ones. Did you see those before?
Those without watermark, I never saw them before.
Yes, so they are new to you, isn't it?
Yes.
But the way you paraded this was that this is not new information. All these things have been there before. Collectively, how you put it. These are not new things in evidence in chief. All these things have been there before. But you've just admitted now that the documents have just indicated you've seen them for the first time. You've never come across them. Isn't it? The emails without the watermark.
I think the question that was posed was based on the GAVs. And it was never questions whether I've seen this document before.
Sir, you were questioned collectively. In fact, my learned colleague was going bundle by bundle.
I was being asked whether I read through them. Then I say, yes, I read through them.
And you said towards the end that these are not new. You did say something to that effect. You did say that because you were asked whether these are new documents.
Okay.
The question was, do they introduce a new perspective? Is it a new subject? Not whether the document itself is new, but the content thereof. Does it bring about a new subject or not? That was the question. On the JVs.
Is it difficult for Mr. Kanyangela to differentiate a new document and something new? I mean, whether it introduces a new perspective.
That is what the witness have answered, and now is being taken back. That you are for the first time. He says, the issue was on the JVs. Is it new?
Because he could be clear on the issue to either say, well, as much as they are new, they do not introduce something new. Then he could have been clear, but it's not clear how he's answering the question.
He must, okay, maybe he must just answer.
And I don't know whether that's what he's saying.
Okay.
And my lord, if my learned colleague feels that is not clear, that's why there's re-examination. He can note it down. Yeah.
Yes, Mr.
I'm
Chairman.
indebted. Thank you.
So what is your answer to the question? Because Mr. Siomunji is putting to you that you considered this bundle as not constituting new evidence. That was your evidence. What is your answer?
My answer is that these documents, it is talking about the GAVs and how the applicant is involved with the GAVs to with the JVs and the Samherji group of companies. And I have already testified as to what was the involvement with the Samherji with regarding to the JVs.
Okay, maybe let's put differently. You have indicated that the documents with a watermark, you have not seen them.
The documents with the watermark, I confirm to having seen them because they came
Or you
from
have
our
seen
disclosure.
them. You have seen them.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so the ones without the watermark are the ones you have not seen before.
It's the one I say I did not see them before.
Okay.
Please,
Yes, you may proceed.
may I please the court. Now, based on that, let's go now straight to the issue of the JVs that you talked about. I believe it's Epango, Yuko, and Cinco. The ones that applicant ensured and made them to sign up with Samherji, isn't it?
That's correct.
Now, let's go back now with that in mind, and that being said, the issue of the consultancy service agreement. That job that the applicant did to link the JV right holders to Samherji group so that Samherji could get that quota, isn't that in line with his consultancy service agreement?
Yes, it's in line. He was consulting.
Yes. So it's a good thing you agreed to that. So in other words, I put it to you, applicant was performing his job. He was fulfilling his obligations as per the consultancy service agreement he had with Samherji. And he actually delivered. He ensured that the 3 JV right holders, Cinco, Yuko, and Epango, actually signed agreements with Samherji. You agree with me? He delivered. That's according to, we already canvassed the issue of the consultancy service agreement. You said, according to you, you can't see anything wrong with that. It's a binding contract. And I'm saying, based on what you testified, by extension of the consultancy service agreement, applicant delivered by making those 3 JV right holders to sign with Samherji. Or can you say to the contrary?
He delivered, but
But what, sir?
the money that he received, there were money that was paid to him based on the other quotas that are not for the JVs. And those are the money that we said, they are bribe money that was paid to him.
Sir,
And he's co-accused.
we are getting there. First of all, I wanted you to confirm the issue of, we've confirmed the consultancy service agreement, you cannot see anything wrong with it, although it was termed a dummy one. We've canvassed that. Accordance with the consultancy service agreement, applicant signed the 3 JVs with Samherji, Yuko, Cinco, and Epango.
My Lord, I will have to object to the earlier statement that you have confirmed nothing was wrong. The witness have explained during that answer
Yes.
why it was termed a dump. Why is that portion being ignored? To say the construction thereof, he said, no, I don't see anything wrong. The purpose. The witness have answered to that. Now that is being taken away to mislead the witness.
Your Lordship, Since my learned colleague is giving spirited objections, but it's on record. Your Lordship, I don't want, that's why I just glossed over it. It's on record. Even the court questioned him. Why did you say this? Why were you asking the lawyer who is cross-examining you what a dummy agreement is? It's on record. I don't want to rehash that, Your Lordship. That's in the context in which I put that to him. And I'm moving on.
Okay, that's fine, Mr. Siomunji. Your colleague then is saying, in his letter evidence, he went on to place on record the understanding, or his understanding, about why it was called a dummy agreement. So your colleague is only saying it should also be incorporated. I don't know whether you accept that.
I don't accept that, Your Lordship, and with respect, he can re-examine on that because there was already, on record,
Okay.
clear evidence that this witness does not understand what he's even talking about. Hence, why he even asked that question about me leaving out his lawyer, saying that I should maybe explain to him what is a dummy agreement.
And on the construction of the agreement, is it correct that he indicated that, well, he's not an expert to tell whether there's something wrong or not?
Your Lordship, yes, he did say,
Okay.
and he also did say, he also considered that he could have sought advice on it.
Yes,
Yes, but he
said
didn't.
that. Yes.
Yes. So moving on now. It seems my learned colleague wants to take a break, Your Lordship. So
Okay, it's fine.
I
What
believe
is
the court
what
can
is the
indulge you.
time now? Mr. Siomunji, what is the time now?
it's 11 o'clock, Your Lordship.
11 o'clock. You still have quite a lot of aspects to cover.
Indeed, so, Your Lordship.
Let's then take 15 minutes break. You said 11 o'clock.
It's 11 o'clock, yes, Your Lordship.
Let's resume at 11:15. Court agents. may proceed, Mr. Siomunji.
I'm indebted to the court, Your Lordship. Mr. Kanyangela, it was your testimony yesterday. Okay, I think we had canvassed the issue of, I think the last point we canvassed was the issue that applicant actually delivered according to the JVs in terms of his mandate in the service, the consultancy agreement, isn't it? We canvassed that.
Yes, we did that.
Okay.
We talk about that.
Yes. Now, let's explore that more. In terms of the consultancy service agreement, you said the first time that applicant was paid any money was an invoice of Fiti Entertainment where 300,000 was invoiced, and he was paid that money. You recall that?
Yes, I recall.
Do you have that invoice with you in that bundle? The Namgoma bundle. If you don't have, it's fine. I'm just asking if you have it. The one for 300,000. But you have had sight of it, isn't it?
I have seen it.
Yes. Now, I'm sure you agree with me that the person who was, I believe, a chartered accountant working for Samherji was, is it Adele Pay?
That's correct.
Now, there was the issue of the affidavit of Ms. Adele Pay, which was canvassed in the previous bail application, I believe from page 64 to 67. In fact, it was handed in as B5. I'm not going to go back on that, but I just want to gloss over it. I'm sure you agree with me that as per the record of the previous bail application, and as per the affidavit of Ms. Adele Pay, as the chartered accountant of Samherji, she did not say there was anything wrong with any of the invoices of the applicant. You agree with me, isn't it?
I should not say that.
Yes. And as a chartered accountant, I'm sure, I'm not an accountant as well, but something which even the court can take judicial notice of. Accountants work with figures, invoices, and so on. They make sure that everything has to be done properly. That is their job, that is their training, that is their expertise, isn't it?
Yeah, that is her expertise.
Yes.
But what I can recall is that she is mentioning that invoices were sent over to Las Palmas or to Iceland for payment to be made.
Yes, but they had to come through her, isn't it? She was the chartered accountant. She was aware of the invoices, isn't it?
If I can recall, she said some invoices used to be sent directly.
Yes, okay. Now, the invoices that she came across, my point is, in her affidavit, because the affidavit, as I indicated, is contained in those pages of the previous bill, did she say anything to the effect that there is a single invoice of the applicant that she came across and she didn't agree with it, or it did not comply with standards of invoices, or there was something wrong with it?
No, she did not say so.
Thank you. Now, would you agree with me that you and I, the fact that we are not accountants, we're not financial people, the issue of scrutinizing an invoice, the way it's formulated, the amounts indicated, and whether it complies with standards of an invoice, that is the area of accountants. It's the area of expertise.
It's the area of the expertise, but what I believe in is that if it is an invoice, at least the invoice has to detail what the services have been rendered. Not just one word. You have to indicate for what are you charging of.
We'll get to that, Dr. Kanyangela. We'll get to that. We'll get to even the invoices.
Yes.
That are there. But my point is, just as a point of departure on that issue, you got, when I say you people collectively, you people got an affidavit of Ms. Adele Pay, and she did talk about invoices submitted by particularly the applicant. And nowhere did she mention that there is a single invoice which she suspected to be wrong, or it was not crafted properly, or the amount was wrong, or the description, or anything to that effect. She did not mention any of the sort. And yet she's the financial person, the expert, the chartered accountant. Isn't that so?
I have already answered that one.
Yes. So would you agree with me further now in extension to that? If there was something wrong or something untoward about an invoice, particularly even the description, the point that you are jumping to, consultancy services or consultancy fees or anything, but point being, if there was something wrong with the description or any other thing, one of the first people to pick it up would be the chartered accountant. Isn't that so? It's their job, it's their expertise, as you already agreed.
I don't know already what is their job descriptions.
You see
Whether
the
they have
problem.
also to scrutinize and see that
Yeah.
if
You see
there's
the problem,
something wrong or not.
Mr. Kanyangela, is when it suits you, you keep chopping and changing. A minute ago, on face value, and generally, you did agree that areas of expertise of an accountant extend to invoices, amounts, description, and so on. Issues of payment. You agreed.
Yes, I agree.
But now, all of a sudden, when I asked you an extension to that, that if there is something wrong with an invoice or description, amount, anything, then one of the first people that will pick it up is the same person who has the expertise in that area. Then all of a sudden, you don't know the job description. That's the problem that I have. It's because you are seeing exactly where that is heading. It's because I put it to you, you know, you are alleging that invoices submitted by the applicant were not correct. Services were not put properly, and so on. In fact, according to what you are saying, in a nutshell, is that applicant should not have even submitted those invoices because he was not entitled to them. That's what you said. But now when you are questioned further on that, particularly on the affidavit of a qualified person, in this case, we're talking about Ms. Adele Pay, the chartered accountant.
His leading statements are all over the question. The witness never said that he was not entitled to submit those invoices. He says those invoices were submitted.
Just don't give evidence, Mr.
Yes.
Pinge.
That was not said. Maybe he can ask what was the purpose of those invoices being submitted. But
Okay.
the witness never said he was not entitled to submit those invoices.
Oh, okay.
It was
Uh,
submitted
well,
for a particular reason.
That's fine, Mr. Pinge.
My lord,
I would expect Mr. Kanyangela also to deal with this issue properly as to what exactly he might have said, in case there's a misunderstanding also.
may it please the court. My lord, the testimony of this witness yesterday, which is on record, was that according to, again, placing reliance on the affidavit of Johannes Stephenson, that these were bribe money. So what does that mean by extension, my lord? It means, and there were dummy agreements. Dummy agreements and bribe money. It means whatever service is put there, by
So
extension.
you are the one who is making
Indeed, so,
a
my lord.
conclusion.
Yes, my lord.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So it means by
your
extension, my
colleague
lord,
is right.
it means whatever is invoiced there, you are not entitled to it because it's stemming from a dummy invoice
Okay.
and it's bribe money. That's what I'm basing it on.
But I understand that. It's only that you want to link that to the expertise of Adele Pay. In other words, she would have picked that if there was something wrong with those invoices, she would have picked it.
Indeed so, my lord. And that's what I'm exploring through this witness, my lord, because he is the investigation officer. He should be in a position to answer that or not. I'm not saying he's a financial person, but the affidavit was obtained by, maybe not personally him, but through
Yes.
his office.
Yes. Maybe he will deal with it. I just don't know whether there was, because how I understand the evidence, let me not trigger this issue. Let me allow you to explore it first.
May it please the court?
Yes.
Sir, based on what you testified yesterday about Mr. Stephenson, placing reliance on his affidavit that there were dummy agreements and money that was paid to applicant and co, bribe money. Would you agree with me that what you meant by extension was that applicant was therefore not entitled to that money because it's stemming from dummy agreements and it's bribe money?
Yeah, there was money that the applicant is not entitled to. These are money that came from the government objective quotas, in Nangomal quotas. They were not entitled to those money.
Okay, we'll deal with that. We are coming there. Now, let's look at the issue of the 300,000 that was invoiced through Fiti Entertainment in January 2012. Was the applicant entitled to that?
That was January 2012. And it is at the time he was involving with the JVs. That was a first payment, I believe, when he just involved with the Samherji. With the JVs, I think he was entitled to such a payment.
You think?
But if he was now really doing business, he signed up with the JVs since 2012. And he involved with the Samherji since 2011. But there was only that payment that was done. From there, although he alleged not to be a consultant for the Samherji, from that payment, he was not receiving any other payment. He was not issuing any other invoices, just for the service that he is alleging to have rendered until May 2014.
Mr. Kanyangela, we'll get to that. I asked you a simple thing. I didn't ask you about later. We'll get to that. My question was on the 300,000 invoice through Fiti Entertainment. According to your investigations, if you did investigate on that issue, was the applicant entitled to that payment or not? It's a very simple question. If you don't know, you just say you do not know or you didn't investigate. Because I seem to sense that you are speculating. You are
I'm
not
not
sure.
speculating, because the invoices that we are now referring to, the applicant in Samherji entered into a consultancy agreement through his company GTH Trading. And I don't know why, if he was in a consultancy with his company GTH, why he have to issue an invoice under Fiti Entertainment.
And that is precisely the point, Dr. Kanyangela. Did you investigate that issue? Because the question I asked you was, the 300,000, we're starting from there. Was applicant entitled to that or not? It's either you know or you don't know. Don't guess. We want you to say facts, not speculations. If you don't know, just say, I do not know, or I didn't investigate it. Then we move on from there. Because I'm asking you that because you are saying that the consultancy service agreement was a dummy agreement, as per Johannes Stephenson. Applicant was paid bribe money. And there's monies that he was not entitled to. So we are starting with the 300,000, which was the first payment. Did you investigate it? Yes or no?
I have already said, if he was entitled to that for consultancy, then the invoice could be from the company that entered into an agreement, not from another company.
Did you ask Samherji people, Adele Pay and Co.? You got an affidavit from Adele Pay. Did you ask her specifically, as the chartered accountant, the first payment was for 300,000. The consultancy service agreement was between Samherji and JTH, not Fiti Entertainment, although owned by the same natural person. Is there something irregular with that? Did you ask Mr. Adelpay or any other financial person to explain that?
I did not ask.
Exactly. So you are not in a position to question that, because you could have asked that. You could have got it from the chartered accountant, Adelpay. You could have. But your allegations are just wild because you just want hook, line, or sinker. You want this court to believe that everything was just from dummy agreements. It's bribe money. You are not in a position to discredit that. Services were rendered. And that is why applicant was entitled to that 300,000. You are not in a position to discredit that.
But he also did not tell the court really what he did for that 300,000 to be paid to him.
Are you assuming or you are talking as fact?
He never says that.
Are you assuming, sir? The question, are you assuming or you are talking as fact that applicant didn't explain that 300,000 payment? It's a simple question, sir.
He might have explained it, maybe during
You see, there we
his
go.
testimony.
You see, that's why you see that Kanyangela, with respect, that's why I said that you want to mislead this court. And I'm saying that with the greatest of respect. You say a certain thing. When you are cornered, you immediately change. He might have. I deliberately asked you that because you were not here when applicant testified. Even if you are not here, you could have been briefed by your lawyer. But you wanted to parade it as a fact that applicant didn't explain how he was entitled to the 300,000, which is not correct, because applicant explained in detail to this court. No contrary evidence came, even when he was cross-examined, that he was not entitled to that. But here you are, when you are cornered now, maybe he could have explained.
Even if he explained, the invoice itself did not give a detailed description of what was done.
Was the invoice, okay, that's why I said you and I are not financial people.
Yes.
Yes. The financial person, Ms. Adele Pay, chartered accountant, she gave an affidavit. Did you specifically ask about that invoice? Because if you are alleging, or if you suspect that the description given there is wrong, did you specifically ask on that invoice of 300,000 that I see here, it says consultancy fee? Is this correct? Is this how invoices are supposed to be submitted? Did you ask that?
I did not ask that.
Exactly. So I put it to you, you are not in a position to discredit what was indicated there, because the actual person, the financial person, Mr. Adeope, didn't discredit it. You and I are not financial people.
Yeah, but I understand the description of an invoice, that it should give a detailed service that was rendered.
If the person who is receiving the invoice, it goes through the channels, the financial people who check it have no problem with the description. Why should you, who is not a financial person, who is a lay person in that area, without proper cause, question that description?
I have already indicated to this court that, according to Adele Pay, some of the invoices used to be sent straight to Iceland for payment.
Mr. Kanyangela, that is not an answer. Whether some used to be sent and some were here, that is different. The issue is, you are questioning a specific invoice. If you are to inform this court that I did submit this particular invoice from Fiti Entertainment for the 300,000 to Ms. Adeope, and she told me she never dealt with this invoice. But nevertheless, according to her, the description is wrong. You would have some merit in what you are saying. But you didn't.
She never said so.
Yes, and you never asked.
Let me raise this issue so that the parties can assist me, and it will help you also maybe deal with it in cross-examination if necessary, because I don't recall what Adeope says in the affidavit. But I want to find out from Mr. Kanyangela. The so-called dummy agreements, they were entered into between who and who?
They were entered between Samherji and the applicant.
And Adeope worked for who?
She's working for Samherji.
What is the essence of Adeope's affidavit or statement? What does it say? Because I don't recall it.
She was only confirming the payments that the Samherji group of companies did pay to the entities of the applicant and the co-accused.
But you have no knowledge whether she was aware of any corrupt activities taking place between her employer and the applicant.
She never mentioned any such of type in his statement.
Okay. You may proceed, Mr.
May I please the court? You see, and just judging from the last thing that you said, Mr. Kanyangela, she never mentioned any corrupt issues. And as the chartered accountant, if there was something untoward, she would have informed you. I put it to you, she would have said something to that effect, because in a nutshell, what she says in her affidavit, as contained from page 65 of 278 of the previous bail record, she talks about payments that were received. And she doesn't say anything about those payments that they were wrong, or applicant was not entitled, or there was something untoward.
My Lord, may I object to that at this juncture also? Because I have dealt with this issue previously and produced the second statement of Adeope that was not in the bundle of the applicant, where it is contained at page 316 of the Namgoma bundle, where she specifically recorded, and I put that to the applicant, that I cannot confirm if services were rendered or goods delivered by the aforementioned entities, including the applicant's entities.
Yes, and that's fair enough. But
For him to say,
yes,
Adeope never said there was nothing untoward.
yes.
She says she cannot confirm.
But is it not surprising that Mr. Kanyangela is not talking about that? Because this is what I was trying to get from him, where Adeope stands on this issue. Because Mr. Siomunji is treating Adeope as a professional who is doing his or her work as a chartered accountant. But I do not know where Adeope stands as far as this issue that Mr. Stephenson raises of corruption. Was she part of it? Was she not part of it? Is she aware of it or not? That's what I was trying to establish from Mr. Kanyangela, because if she was part of it, it could be a different matter. We are no longer dealing with a purely professional individual. But that has not been discredited by Mr. Kanyangela, even to say that's what Adeope says in the statement. But one would have expected that the witness should be aware of that evidence.
My Lord, why I raise is that there is also an expectation that my learned colleague, as a practitioner of this court,
Okay.
must put proper facts.
I think that's fair.
Because why is he leaving out that portion to say, I have dealt with it, where Adeope particularly said, I cannot confirm. I saw they go to Las Palmas, they come back, it's on a system, I record what has been paid.
Okay, that's fair.
I cannot confirm if services were rendered.
Yes.
As a legal practitioner, cross-examining a witness he's not allowed to mislead or to create impressions that these issues were not dealt with.
All right, that's fair. It's,
Yes.
it's only that if I have to first, before I come to Mr. Siomunjo on that aspect,
Yes.
I would have expected Mr. Kanyangela to have a good understanding of the case.
Of the case, yes.
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 In other words, when one is, that's why I was asking, these corrupt activities or dummy agreements, they were entered into between which parties?
Yes.
And if it's Samherji, and that's the entity that Adelpay works, one would know where is Adelpay standing on the issue. Because then it could mean the entity is aware that they are entering into dummy agreements.
Yes.
So can one be used to say they could have picked the dummy agreements if they were complicit or they were part of it? That's what I was trying to understand, but I was not getting that from Mr. Kanyangela. And it does not help the court to understand the case clearly. Mr. Siomunji, your colleague is raising a fair point. I don't know whether it's because you did not take part in the previous bail application, because if that's what is stated, certainly it brings in a different aspect.
Your Lordship, I am aware of that. It doesn't.
Okay.
But it doesn't, because if one is saying, I'm aware of but I cannot confirm whether services were rendered or not, the person is just neutral. But my question was specific, particularly, and it stems from the invoice, the 300,000 from Fiti Entertainment, whether this witness, because for an affidavit to have been obtained from Ms. Adelpay, that means they had audience with Ms. Adelpay.
Yes.
What was the difficulty with asking clarity on, especially the first payment?
And the way you are putting it, from what I understand, is it would appear in the normal course of these agreements, these invoices would have been sent through the accounting department of Samherji.
Indeed, so
Then
my
they
lord.
would find their way on the table of their accountant.
Indeed, so my lord.
And it's to that extent that's what this court expects the witness also to deal with the evidence.
Exactly, my
if
lord.
they never went on her table, or he is not aware, then he can give evidence.
Indeed,
to that
so my
issue.
lord. But
Yes.
my learned colleague now is rising up to answer for the witness. That is the one which is unfortunate.
Okay, no, it's fine. He brought in another aspect of the statement, but I'll allow you because it seems it has not really been made very clear as
May it please
to
the
the
court.
role that Adelpay played in the matter.
May it please the court.
Yes.
So, Mr. Kanyangela, Adelpay did not say anything was wrong concerning this invoice of Fiti Entertainment, the 300,000, isn't it?
Yes, she did not say so.
Adelpay did not question description of the same invoice of 300,000 from Fiti Entertainment, isn't it?
She did not question that.
She did not question the description of
Yes, I
that
said
same
she
invoice.
did not question it, yes.
Yes. So it is you who is a layperson in that area. You are not a financial expert who is questioning the description, isn't it?
I'm questioning it because of how I understand an invoice. It must have a description of the service that have been rendered, a detailed description.
You are a lay, that's why I said you are a layperson in that area. A layperson in an area where they lack expertise is questioning how things are done in that area. That's what it is. The correct person to ask that question would have been Ms. Adelpay. Say, look at it. Can you, I have issues. You could have said something to the effect of, as a layperson, my understanding of invoices is that there must be a detailed description. Is that the case or not? If Ms. Adelpay, the expert, confirmed to you that that is indeed so, then you could have gone further and said, look at this invoice. It says consultancy fees. According to my lay person's knowledge, I feel this is wrong for her to educate you on that, but you didn't. So I put it to you, it's crystal clear. You have no basis, at least on that invoice, to say either the amount applicant was not entitled to it or the description of that invoice was wrong. You have no basis. You have a comment?
My comment is only that the invoice came from the entity which did not enter into an agreement with it.
Let me extend that. Again, did you question Ms. Adeope and say, your consultancy agreement is between JTH, CC, and Samherji. This invoice is coming from Fiti Entertainment. Is it allowed? You didn't.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I said you have no basis in discrediting that. If you have a basis, please inform the court. There's no basis. So again, starting with the first invoice that applicant was paid, amounting to 300,000, your attempt was to show this court, because Stephenson says it's dummy agreements, bribe money, 300,000 was also part of that. You have absolutely no basis for saying that, apart from misleading this court.
I'm not misleading.
Okay, let's move on. Now, you said further, concerning the consultancy service agreement applicant entered into between Samherji and JTH, you found it, these are my words now, but you seem to suggest that you found it odd, you found it surprising that from January 2012, when there was an invoice of 300,000, the next invoice was only in March 2014. Am I correct? You didn't put it in those words, but you are just saying that, how come, the first invoice was in January 2012, the next one was in March 2014. Am I correct?
Yes, you are
March
correct.
or May?
I believe he said March, Your
2014.
Lordship, but maybe you can clarify. Did you say March or May, sir?
I know there was a payment of March, April, and the last was May,
That is 2014.
2014, yes.
Okay. Then it's
So the first one of 2014 was March.
March.
Okay. Now, again on this issue, of course, applicant, we'll get to applicant's explanation, but I'm talking about your investigations. You, as the investigation officer, did you take up that issue with Ms. Adeope or any other financial expert of Samherji to say, I find it odd that from 2012, applicant did not invoice anything, only the next invoice was March 2014. The fact that there's a consultancy service agreement, why is it that there's a gap in between? There was no invoices. Did you investigate that? Did you ask the relevant people?
I did not.
You see, Mr. Kanyangela, with respect, everything I'm saying is with respect. I find it odd now. What did you investigate over this issue? I'm talking about the payments issue, if at all. Because if you are saying you didn't ask, and most of the things I'm asking you is relevant, critical things with regard to these issues of the payments, but you didn't ask. So if you as the investigation officer didn't ask, who is supposed to ask? If you can answer that, sir, who is supposed to ask? Who's tasked with this investigation? Isn't it you?
Yes, it is me.
Yes. So why didn't you ask the relevant things?
We looked to the time the payments was made. And according to Stephenson,
According to Stephens.
these payments were made to enable the Samherji to get access to the fishing quotas. That's why he regarded them as bribe money.
That is what Stephenson said.
Yes.
But I'm talking about now you. Leave aside what he said. So for you is, again, going back to what I put to you, because Stephenson said it, it must be the gospel truth, isn't it? So there is no need for you as an investigation officer entrusted in an investigation of this magnitude to even confirm that. There is no need. Just because Stephenson has said it, that's it. That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm putting to you. That is what I'm getting from your answer.
But we have investigated as to how that money have flows when it entered the account of that person.
We'll get to, you see, remember from the beginning, I like to set, the rules of engagement. That's why I told you that I'll ask you a direct question. Please answer me. Or you can refuse to answer, then we move on. If I want to know about flow of money, I'll ask you about flow of money. I asked a very simple thing. Whether you asked anybody, Adele Pay or any other person, as to the reason why there was no invoices between January 2012 and March 2014. You said you didn't ask.
Yes, I have already answered it.
And I put it to you. It shows you didn't even investigate this issue. Because according to you, applicant and co-accused are already guilty, as per what Johannes Stephenson has said. Because according to you, anything that Johannes Stephenson has said is the gospel truth. You don't need to verify it or to investigate it further.
I never say that they are guilty.
You don't need to say it in those direct words, but already, from what you are testifying, that is the impression you are creating to this court.
I never create such an impression.
That's what you are saying, but I'll argue as such. Now let's move on. So the fact that you didn't ask an explanation from the financial people as to why there were no invoices in between, despite the fact that there's a consultancy agreement, I put it to you that applicant gave an explanation. And for your information, if you don't know, if you are not told by your lawyer, applicant explained that from that time, from January 2012, there was no invoice because, first of all, their system, when I say their system, I mean Samherji, is according to what they agreed with the applicant is that he would only invoice when he's told to invoice. And he stayed for such a long time without invoicing because he was told there was a point where there were cash flow problems in Samherji. And he only invoiced in 2014 when he was told, now you can invoice. And that's what it was done in 2014. That evidence has not been contradicted.
Yeah, well, if there was an agreement with regarding to payment because of financial problems, the applicant first, they enter into a consultancy agreement. Then if there was any problems with regard or arrangement with regarding to payments of the money to the applicants for the service he rendered, then we could also expect that, yes, there should be a written agreement put in place.
Are you saying that is what you expect?
Yes, at least there should be something to convince the court that, yes, this is the agreement that we have entered into with regarding to the cash flow problem.
You see, you are saying there should be. Applicant explained that that was verbally communicated to him. Now the question to you is there anything wrong with a verbal agreement of that nature, which is going hand in hand with the service, consultancy service agreement that he had? Is there anything wrong in law or in practice to have a verbal agreement of that nature, which would still be binding on the parties?
There's nothing wrong with it.
Exactly.
You can enter into a verbal agreement.
Exactly. So why did you say that before? Because, again, it goes back to you want to mislead this court. Because by all means, you want to show, because it's not put in writing, then it cannot be there. In fact, extending it, why wasn't that put in cross-examination to the applicant? That it has not been put in writing, that thing, therefore it is not true.
I have asked several questions on it. Was it an addendum to the agreement? I have asked a lot of questions as to why do you not have a problem if Sharon Neumbo was getting 1 point? I don't know what he's talking about. And I asked him, was there an email communication?
Okay.
So to say it was not put in cross-examination, that is misleading.
Okay.
My lord, my learned colleague should learn to relax, and I'm saying this with respect, and listen to what I'm questioning. I did not say...
Mr. Siomunji, just deal with the issue you want to raise.
Indeed,
And the other comments are really unnecessary.
Your Lordship, it's a bit offensive when, you know, an objection is raised from a person not understanding what the question is. I did not put to this witness that there is no single question concerning the issue of the agreement that was put to the applicant. I did not say so. I was very specific, Your Lordship. I said the issue of that agreement made verbally, where applicant said that there was a verbal agreement between him and Samherji, where he was told to invoice only after, you know, the cash flow situation improves. I said, why wasn't it put to him that, why wasn't that verbal, you know, agreement, you know, put in writing or something to that effect?
Okay.
There's no specific question to that, my lord. My learned colleague did ask several questions around that.
Okay.
But specifically that was not asked.
You have made your point. Let me hear Mr.
That's
Ipinge.
why I say, I did ask why was it not put in writing? Why is there no addendum to the agreement? Why is there no email communication? Those are all questions to question why was it not in writing. So to say it was not, that is misleading.
Okay, I'm not sure what the record will reflect on that issue, but certainly if you did not, you did not, and we take it from there. You are saying that you did.
Yes.
Yes, I cannot rule on the issue without having seen the record.
Yes, hello.
Yes, so I'm saying, in any case, his answer is not really helpful on the issue because the question would have been relevant to the applicant when he was in the witness stand.
Yes.
Yes.
As the
Mr.
court
Siomunja, I'm unable to rule on this issue because I can't recall whether it was exactly asked like that or not.
May it please the court?
Yes.
I'm indebted to the court, my lord. Now, moving on. You've already considered that there is nothing wrong with having a verbal agreement of that nature. You conceded. Now, it was not put to the applicant that because it's not in writing, that agreement that he said he had with Samherji, where he had to invoice only when cash flow situation improves, it is a lie. He's making it up. It was not put to the applicant. Do you know why that was not put to the applicant, if that is the case?
I don't know.
And I put it to you, it's clear. It's because you did not investigate anything related to the finances further, particularly the issue of the invoices between 2012 and 2014. It's because, I'm talking about the issues that I've dealt with now. It's because Johannes Stephenson already said it's dummy agreements, it's bribe money. So as far as you are concerned, there's no need to investigate that further or to confirm if that was true or not. When indeed you had the resources, you had the time, you had the means, you had the people whom you could have questioned, like even Ms. Adeope, but you didn't, because you just believed what Johannes Stephenson said. You have a comment, sir?
I have already indicated that, yes, we investigate the flow of money, and there were also expert people who were contracted or appointed to go through such transactions, and they have provided a report as to how this money was flowing. So to say that we did not investigate about the money, I don't think I'm agreeing with that one.
I'm talking as far as Samherji. If you want us to get to the Deloitte report, which is what you are hinting on, we can get to that, sir. I'm very well aware of what the Deloitte report says, but we'll get to that. Now, looking at these payments, remember Ms. Adeope, as per from 65 to about 65 to about 78 of the previous record, she did talk about money that was received by the applicant. Would you agree with me that she never mentioned specifically that although applicant received X amount of money, he was not entitled to it?
Which record are you referring to?
No, I'm talking about Adele Pay affidavit as per 65 to 78 of the old record. She mentioned amounts of money that applicant received, but she did not mention in that record or the second affidavit that my learned colleague is talking about. It is nowhere specifically mentioned by her that yes, applicant received X amount of money, but I can confirm with certainty that this person was not entitled to this money. I'm talking about her in her capacity as the chartered accountant.
She did not mention about that.
Thank you. And I put it to you, the reason she didn't mention that is because it's obvious, it goes without saying, is because applicant was entitled to that money. If he was not entitled to that money, as the financial person, as the expert in that area, she would have already mentioned it.
She might not know whether the applicant was entitled or not, because when these agreements were being made between Samherji and the applicant, and I never saw where she was engaged in such meetings or in such activities. Therefore, I don't think she might even know that what was being done was legal or illegal. She was being provided with invoices, and she do the payment as requested by his bosses.
Okay. You mentioned something, you said you do not think. You see, you are saying what you think. You are the investigation officer. Because remember, this court wants facts, if you can provide them. You had access to Ms. Adelpe. Did you ask her that specific question, whether she's able to answer it or not? You, as the investigation officer, did you ask Ms. Adelpe, as the chartered accountant of Samherji, that specific question? Whether she knows or not whether the applicant was entitled to that money. Did you ask her?
I did not ask her.
Exactly. And it shows. And I'll keep repeating, it's because you already took a stand. And the reason why you took a stand is because Johannes Stephenson said so.
Yes, I took a stand because I see how the money was being circulated, how it was being shared among the co-accused, the applicant and his co-accused.
Let's get there. Now, you mentioned now, in fact, maybe before we get there, you mentioned when applicant talked about loans between himself and Mr. James Hatuikulipi and payment of loans and so on. When you are told about that, your comment was that if there was loans, then there should have been an agreement. You have not seen any agreement for the loans. Therefore, it cannot be. I'm paraphrasing what you said.
That is what I have said, yes.
Okay. Now you, Mr. Kanyangela, is it your evidence that for a loan agreement to be there, it must be put in writing? That is confirmation of that agreement? In other words, if there is no loan agreement in writing, it's not there.
That is what I know about loans.
That is what you know.
Yes.
Then you are greatly mistaken. A loan agreement is just like any other agreement or a contract. It can be verbally or in writing. You cannot say just because it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. So if that is what your basis of saying that because of that it's not in writing, these loans didn't exist, then you are wrong. I put it to you, you are very mistaken.
I don't think I'm mistaken. I'm not mistaken.
Sir,
Because if people are giving each other money, especially those huge amount of money, there should be agreements. And to say that I have already testified about this word loan, that this word in such cases is normally being used just to disguise as to the really purpose of such payment. It's used, especially in most cases, they regard it as a loans. But if it was a loan, I cannot just ask you a loan today and tomorrow I have to pay that money back. For what reason? Well, I have to distribute to other people if it is a loan. Well, why should I get a loan through other entities and not directly from you?
Mr. Kanyangela, are you talking about your own understanding or your own way of doing things? And you want to extend that to how everybody does things? Is that so?
What I agreed is if there is a loan to be taken, there should be a written document.
That's according to you. And you see, remember, you are a layperson in this area. The court, myself, my learned colleague, your lawyer, we are knowledgeable in this area. Even your own lawyer will tell you, a loan agreement is just like any other agreement. It's a contract. It can be verbally or in writing. So on this note, I'm educating you. I'm saying that with respect. So if that is your understanding, that every loan must be in writing, then you are totally mistaken. There is no law that says that. There is no system or procedure that says that. If according to you a certain amount of money is high, that does not apply to the next person. If people are dealing in huge amounts of money, 50,000 maybe to you and I might seem to be a big amount. 1 million to you and I might seem like a humongous amount. But to other people who deal with more money, that is nothing. Is there anything wrong with if friends, colleagues, associates lend each other money today, it's paid tomorrow or the other day and vice versa? Is there anything wrong in law?
What I see in practice is that if a person is taking a loan, this loan should be documented.
Practice where? Maybe you must, contextualize
Even
it.
if you go in the bank, you want a loan, documents have to be completed.
That is the bank. If I know you, Mr. Kanyangela, you come to me and I have $1 million. I know you very well. I don't need any security or anything. And you say you want 100,000 from me. And I just give it to you, I trust you. Is there anything wrong with that? Because I know you?
There's nothing wrong, but at least you have to record that, yes, I give money to this person.
I have to record according to who? According to what? Is it a procedure? Is it a law?
Even it is not a law.
If I record, I have a sharp memory. I record it in my mind. Wouldn't that suffice for me?
What I have said is that these were not loans. If it could be loans, then they could not be just dished to everybody.
So that is your basis of saying that because your layperson's understanding of a loan is maybe, I'm saying this with respect, is maybe your understanding of going to the bank and either getting a personal loan or any other loan which has to be documented. That is your understanding of a loan. And you are extending it to every other loan. That because you understand it like that, every loan has to be in writing. Then I put it to you, are totally mistaken. And if that is your basis of saying that because These loans that applicant testified about, he said they were verbally. You cannot discredit that based on your misguided and misunderstanding of how things work.
But the way this money was being handled, it doesn't look like to be a loan. Since it came in, then it will be further distributed to the other co-accused.
Mr. Kanyangela, what is wrong? I know 5 other people. I'm doing business with other people. I'm associated with other people. I get money, somebody asks money from me, I send it to them, that person also does the same. Is there anything wrong with that in law? Is the question.
Although there's nothing wrong with that, this money that you are talking that they were loans, these are money that was diverted from the quotas that were given to Fishcall and that were given to Nangoma.
We'll get to that, Mr. Kanyangela.
The witness is explaining why he's saying it's not loans.
Okay.
And he's being asked why you are not saying it's not loans. And then he's explaining
Okay.
from how it came, why he's saying it's not loans, because it was diverted. He stopped. Let the witness explain why he's saying it's not loans according to his investigations. That
Okay,
is the purpose of the questions.
All right. Let me find that. Were you done, Mr. Kanyangela?
Yes, I'm done, my lord.
Okay.
My lord, since he's done so, there was absolutely no purpose of
It's
that
okay,
objection.
Mr. Siomunji. Just that he felt like he wasn't done. So you may proceed since he's saying he was
Yes,
done.
my lord, but that's why I was saying that with respect, my learned colleague should first listen and see, is his witness done? Because this thing of just jumping and being in a hurry to object, his witness just said he was done. So I put it to you, Mr. Kanyangela, that on that score, your understanding of loans is misguided and how they should be. Totally misguided. And on that score, you wanted to parade to this court that just the fact that whatever agreements were there between the applicant and the people he was getting loans to and vice versa were not in writing. There were no loans. You have no basis to say that.
Basis because, as I said, how the money was being distributed among the applicant and the co-accused, to me, that doesn't amount to look like a loan. That cannot be a loan.
As you rightly said it to you, and you are not the authority on how money is used, how money is obtained, what procedures have to, go with how money is obtained and used and so on. You are not the authority on that.
I have already indicated where the money came from. That is now regarded to be loans, or which they loan to one another, as he is alleging. They were not entitled to get this money.
Okay. Let's examine that, sir. The court can just bear with me, my lord. I just want
Yes.
to refer to a certain document. My lord, I'm cognizant of the time.
Yes, it's
Maybe
fine.
this would be just the last point that because I know that we would have to see your lordship in chambers for the issue of dates. And it's 12:20 now.
Okay.
Yeah. May it please the court. So I want to refer you to 2 bundles. The first bundle is that of the applicant, B57, and the Namgoma bundle. on page 388. Let's start with the Namgoma bundle.
3?
Namgoma bundle, my lord.
Page?
Page 388, my lord.
88, okay.
.388 is stemming from the affidavit from Sharon Neumbo. I'm sure you agree with me that Sharon Neumbo was one of the JV right holders, isn't it?
That's correct.
If you can assist us, particularly which JV, if you know.
I cannot recall now.
If you don't know, it's immaterial, but at least she's one of the JV. She was one of the JV right holders. Now, if you look at the invoice on page 388 of the Namgoma bundle, who is it addressed to?
It's addressed to Katla Seafood Ltd.
Located where?
Las Palmas in Spain.
In Spain, okay. Who is this invoice from?
It's from Ndatunga Investment CC.
From who?
Ndatunga Investment CC.
Okay.
Who owns that CC?
It was a CC of Sharon.
Sharon Neumbo.
Yes,
A state witness in this case, isn't it?
that's correct.
Now, what is the description indicated there on that invoice?
It's indicated consultancy fee.
Okay. Now, you had a problem with applicant putting the description consultancy fee. Did you ask Sharon Neumbo why she indicated the description there consultancy fee? Because according to you, it should contain proper details. Did you do that?
I did not.
Why not, sir? Because you said, according to your knowledge of invoicing, it must contain a proper description. You had issues with the applicant's invoices that say consultancy fee. This is your own state witness. Why didn't you question her? How do you put consultancy fee here? According to me, it's wrong. Why didn't you do that?
I did not question her because she have already explained it in her statement.
She did not explain the consultancy fee issue in her statement.
But she explained as to what was the purpose of it.
Yes, but my issue is, you said you personally have a problem with description. Your knowledge of invoicing is that it must contain a proper description. And that's why I asked you, the description is exactly like applicant was also putting his invoices, consultancy fee. But you have no problem with the invoice of Sharon Neumbo.
No, that has been answered. The answer is she had already explained for what it was.
All right, it's one of those questions where person is rounding up the issue and moving on to another because of the previous questions. So he was going to move on.
I'm indebted, my lord.
Okay.
Actually, the court has said it right. My learned colleague, let me not say anything, but the
It's
court
good you
already
didn't-
cautioned me. But
Yes,
you
yes.
see, some of these objections, your lordship, they are without merit. Sir, if we look at the affidavit of Sharon Neumbo, she doesn't explain the description, why she put the description of consultancy fee in this invoice. She explains other things.
Yes?
My question to you is, I already asked you why you didn't ask about that, and you said you didn't ask. And I put it to you, it's crystal clear that you already took sides.
You said that she already explained the purpose of doing that.
Not the purpose of the invoice.
Okay, maybe what was the explanation? Maybe what was the explanation? Because I understand the question to ask you to clarify why it seems in her case you don't take issue, but in the applicant's case you take issue. That's how I I understand
Indeed, Your
this.
Lordship. And maybe before he answers that, let me take you now to B57 of the applicant's bundle. Document 54.
B,
B57.
document,
It's written 54 in black.
yes, I'm there.
You're there, okay? Turn to the next page. 1 of 1. The one with the watermark confidential information, isn't it?
Yes,
So this one is coming from the state's additional disclosure, isn't it?
that's correct.
Okay. Now, this invoice is from the applicant. Huh? Is it? No, sorry. My lord, my apologies. This is not the one. But let me deal with the issue of this one.
Yes, yeah, I think it's clear what you are busy
Yes.
trying to address.
Yes, Your Lordship, I just want to get to the one of the applicant, but let me just exhaust that issue.
Okay.
If you look at this invoice, it's from Sharon Neumba as well, isn't it?
Yes,
Ndatunga Investments.
yes.
Who is this one addressed to?
Asia Fishing
Where? Located where?
in Namibia.
Okay. So the other one was Las Palmas in Spain. This one is to Namibia, isn't it?
Yes,
Okay. Is it the same place?
it's not the same place.
Okay. My lord, now I just wish to quickly deal with the, I just got the wrong page number, the invoice of the applicant.
Okay, that's fine.
If I might just quickly take an instruction, my lord.
Yes, it's fine.
Nominated, my lord. If you can just turn to 53, applicant's bundle.
Yes, I'm there.
Turn to the next page. Sure, you agree with me. This is an invoice from JTH Trading, isn't it?
That's correct.
What is the description?
Consultancy fee.
Exactly. So the point I was making, sir, you only have an issue with the description consultancy fee when it applies to the applicant. We've seen two invoices of Sharon Neumbo. One addressed to Cutler Seafood in Las Palmas, Spain, and the other one addressed to here in Namibia, both containing the description consultancy fee. But you never questioned Sharon Neumbo, you never had issue with that, but you only have issue with the applicant. Same description. And that shows that from the get-go you are biased already.
I'm not biased because on the issue of the consultancy fee on the invoices of the applicant, this description have also been used on the other invoices of his co-accused entities. And we have statements from people who were invoiced with these invoices saying that they did not render such a service. Any payment was made, and the applicant benefited from that payment. That's why I do have a problem of that word that they are using.
Okay. If that is your case, why didn't you write to the entity Cutler Seafood in Las Palmas and the other entity, I'm talking about the invoices of Sharon Neumbo, to ask if those services were rendered? And why the description is such? If you can answer that, sir.
With with regarding to the invoice of Sharon Nombo, as I said, she have already explained to it. She explained it. She said this invoice was issued to the Samherji for them to make a payment for the signing up of the contract with them, when to enter into a JV with them.
That's what she said.
Yes.
Did you confirm from Samherji that indeed that is so, apart from Hamia say so?
I did not.
Exactly. And that's exactly my point. You are very partial. When it comes to the applicant, everything about him must be doubted. Everything must be disbelieved. But the same kind of invoicing from Sharon Neumbo, because she's a state witness, whatever she says must be believed.
That is what they did.
So I put it to you, sir, that it's clear.
And it is clear from this invoice and what she explained that yes, that is the amount that they have requested.
Okay.
And out of that amount, they have to make a payment of 200,000 to the applicant.
Okay, why didn't you ask her, why didn't you put a proper description? Even if you've explained the circumstances, why didn't you put a proper description? Why didn't you ask her that?
My Lord, we are laboring the issue of Sharon Nombo. It's irrelevant because she's not charged. She was not under investigation for a criminal matter for purposes of this of this case. So whether there was a further investigation, who said it was warranted? Because she's not charged.
Okay, but,
My Lord,
So it's
Thank you,
irrelevant
Mr.
to be
Mr.
laboring this point.
my Lord, first of all, I'm not laboring it. I'm making a point because it's the same description. If the same kind of invoicing technique, the same kind of description, when it's coming from a state witness, no issue. When it's coming from the applicant, there's an issue. That is the point I'm making, my Lord.
and I thought you made the point. Actually.
Indeed, so, my Lord, I'm not taking it further.
Okay.
So that my learned colleague probably thought, again, that I'm taking it further. He already objected in advance.
Okay.
My Lord, time is behind us. I think for now, just end here.
Okay. Let me see if we can. It's possible to agree because the only available. I mean, the dates that will be available is during the next administrative break, and that is from. And it looks like it's only 2 days I'll be available. I assume you only need a day to conclude your cross.
Indeed, so, Your Lordship. A day would suffice.
A day will suffice. And then you'll be closing Mr. Ipinge, you'll be closing the state's case.
Yes.
And then the matter would be adjourned for closing submissions.
I believe so, Your Lordship.
Is it possible then we utilize the Tuesday, 15 October, for Mr. Siomunji to conclude his cross?
I'm available, my Lord.
Thank you. It's giving you problems.
Is it only that day that is available? That week?
What about the Monday?
The Monday, Your Lordship, I'll make myself available. This court takes precedent. Supposed to have a regional court matter, but of course this court takes precedent. So Monday the 14th will be in order.
Let me just see something.
Even next day we are available.
No.
Because I'm aware also Mr. Siomunji would have been booked before that.
Yes, Your Lordship. I think we can take Monday the 14th.
Monday the 14th.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Okay.
I'm also available, my Lord.
Thank you. Thank you for your assistance in that regard. The matter is then postponed to Monday, 14 October 2024 at 10 o'clock for continuation.
As a court,
May it please the court.
Thank you. Court adjourns.